Hi all. So welcome back to the marketing introduction session. So here we are going to discuss on the pricing strategies today. So we will basically focus on understanding the concept of pricing, and we are going to define it and to see what are the pricing decisions that the companies would take, like as per the factors which are influencing on the pricing decisions, and also to evaluate what are the pricing strategies in different market segments, as well as uh, to see what are the pricing strategies they are, which are accompanied with the new product introduction and the new product development, as well as to see what are the pricing strategies for the adjustment of the pricing. Now the companies would do some of the adjustments in their product and service marketing. So we are going to evaluate on that, as well as we are going to see what are the international pricing strategies that the companies are having, and finally try to make the pricing as a competitive tool in encountering the industry competition. Right. So what do you mean by a price? Basically, you being a consumer, you would know if we want to buy something, we have to pay some value in money or equivalent medium to the vendor, or basically to the seller. So in that case, we pay some money as considering it as the value, or let's say the currency value of that particular good or the service, right? So when it comes to the price, we define the price is that the amount of money charged for a product or service, or sum of the values consumers exchange for the benefits of having using the product or service, right? So when it comes to the currency value, or let's say the price, it is not the actual value of, or the, let's call it as a satisfaction of good or service that whoever the consumer gets, but that is the nominal value which is assumed to a sort of a service or a good. Let's call it as a product or a service, right? So price is the amount of money charged for a product or service, easily, right? Okay. So when it comes to the pricing decisions of a marketeer, you can see there are different factors influencing over the pricing decision of a product or a service. It can be either a product or a service, right? But there are so many factors which are affecting over the pricing decision of a marketeer. So what are those? Basically, there are two factors known as internal factors and the external factors. Now, internal factors are the organizational factors, basically, right? So basically the marketing objective. How much is the profit that you are going to earn throughout this year, right? What is the amount of profit that you are going to earn, right? And to see when it comes to the marketing mix strategies, of course, yeah. So there should be a price which can comply your promotional strategies, right? If you want to promote a product, you can't expect, that depends on the nature of the product available and the type of the product. It can be a superior luxury product, it can be a sort of a inferior product, or let's say it's a sort of a general product, right? That depends on the nature of the product, of course. But when it comes to the marketing mix strategies, you have to decide on these things, right? Whatever the place available, right, that would add another cost, right? Let's say your production plant is available in Colombo and your product is available in Kandy, or maybe the otherwise, right? The production plant is in Kandy and your product will available in Colombo, so you have to add the transport cost as well. So that will, again, considering the value of that will increase your price, right? And with your resource availability, or let's call it as resource priority. So with that, whatever the marketing mix strategies, like whatever the tools that we use, let's say the product, place, promotion, people, process, physical evidence, everything matters on your price, right? And also the costs that you would bear. When it comes to the fixed cost, variable cost, there are things like that, as well as cost of ordering, cost of holding, right? There are so many ways of costs, as well as the overheads, right? There are some sort of costs where you can absorb into the goods and services. So all it matters on your cost constraints, right? And organizational concerns, right? Whether if the product is really moving product, so you will increase some of the prices of the products, as well as if the product is non-moving, so you will reduce the price and reduce the price and wait to move that, right? Likewise, you will make the decisions on the price based on the internal factors or the concerns. When it comes to the external factors, we can say the market demand conditions, right? and competitive pricing strategies of the competitors, right? When it comes to marketing demand conditions, you can see when it comes to the high excess of the surplus of productions available in the market, so customers would tend to buy the products available at a cheaper cost, because why? They know there are surpluses, right? So you have to maintain that as well. So whenever you do pricing, you cannot expect, by making the product more available in the market, if you increased your price, so which means that it won't move with the consumers, because consumers also tend to buy the product at the cheapest cost, right? So they will try to they won't buy that, right? At the long term, you have to decrease, or let's say reduce the price in the long run, right? So market demand condition matters as an external factor where you cannot control those things, right? And when it comes to the competitive pricing, of course, competitors are basically do pricing as per your products, right? Like as an example, let's say if there's a ballpoint pen, so you can see there are different types of brands available for the same purpose, right? The purpose of the consumer is to write, so they will buy pens. So the similar types of pens are available at the similar types of prices, right? Or maybe the same prices, similar prices, right? So those are known as competitive prices, where you cannot determine, you being an internal factor in the organization, you cannot decide on the price over the others, right? And also the external factors like the economical conditions, like special conditions, like whenever we experience into sort of the economy is having some of the commodities to sell, but still the people are not in a position to buy them since they don't have money in this case, right? So where there's a surplus, right? Surplus of commodities, so since the people don't have money, so they have to reduce the price again, right? These are things where they are making scenarios and make things in pricing strategies. So these are the external factors, right? So these are the factors affecting on the pricing strategies. Okay, now when it comes to the internal factors of marketing objectives, there are 4 extents where they can make the marketing objectives by a firm, right? So the first one is the market survival, second the profit maximization, third one is the market share expansion or the market leadership, and fourth one is the product quality leadership. When it comes to these 4 extremes or 4 extents, right, if you can look at the figure that we have depicted here, you can see product and services extent and the market extent, right? So here they're trying to deliver the existing product into the existing market, right? Here what they expect is the market penetration, right? They would give a low price, right, just to survive in the market, because they are having one solution, so they will try to move it to the existing market, right? Then whenever the existing product is introduced to a new market, so we call it as market share expansion, right? You try to develop your market, right? Improve your market. So there you try to give a price which is to develop your market, right? Market development pricing. Whenever it comes to that, you are going to give a new product to the existing market, right? So that is where you try to new product into the existing market. You try to give a pricing as per the product development stage, because you are trying to place, or let's say that is about to position another new product to the existing market, right? And finally you are trying to give a new product into the new market, right? They are known as the diversification. You are trying to reach to a new market with a new product, right? It's a combination, right? So these are the marketing objectives in any company like in any company concern, right? Okay, so in the means of consumer, let's say when it comes to the marketing mix strategies, you can see in the case of when it comes to the product, price, place and promotion, if we look at, right, these are the aspects where the seller, let's say a manufacturer, sees on these things, right? It's a product which is an offer, price, place and promotion, But in the means of consumer, right, product is what? It's the consumption pattern, or let's say that is the basic need consumption, right? So for consumer, it's the need or the want, right? And whenever it comes to the price, that is the cost that let's say the consumer has to bear in order to buy that particular product or the service, right? When it comes to the place, that is the convenience of the buyer to buy it, right? When it comes to the promotion, that is the way that we communicate to the consumer. So with the way that the consumer receives the communication is the promotion, right? So these are the marketing mix strategies, how it affects over the pricing, right? And internal factors, of course, costs that I've told you earlier. So this is what, right? They have to come through several types of sources and will be stored at stores and internal transport, and they'll be doing the production, quality inspection, packaging. All these are value additions, right? These are the parts of experience curve, right? The drop in the average per unit, like let's say these things are part of internal and external logistics, and that will count over your final cost, right? That will count over your final profit margin. So whenever you decide on the price, you must consider all these aspects, right? So your total revenue and the turnover will be decided by this, right? Because if the price is high, the people won't buy your product, right? The total cost factor will be determined all these value additions, and your profit margin finally, right? The net results between the costs and the revenues will be determined by these types of internal and external costs, right? So in experience curve, we identify the drop in the average per unit production cost that comes with production experience. Because why? That is what we known as the the scale of the economies of scale, right? Whenever the capacity, or let's say the production is larger, the per unit production cost will be the lesser, right? It comes down, right? So these are the things. And external factors, as we discussed, it differs with the market type, right? So there are four different markets you can see. We have pure competition, monopolistic competition, oligopolistic competition, and pure monopoly. So if you can read, I've already uploaded the glossary reading to show you what are the characteristics of these types of markets, and the nature of the pure competition market. So you read it, right? So when it comes to the market type of pure competition, you can see nature of the market is there are many buyers and many sellers, right? Now when it comes to the market price, of course, since there are more buyers and more sellers, so that won't do any sort of very specific effect over the price, right? Because there are so many options available, and market of course it's like very similar with the others, right? But when it comes to the monopolistic competition, many buyers, but the sellers are involved with the ranges of prices, as well as maintaining their prices, right? So the market has a range of prices. So there are so many different types of ranges where there can be an impact by the market price, right? Oligopolistic competition is something different, right? There are very few sellers, but there are so many buyers, but there are few sellers, right? Since there are few sellers, the price is highly sensitive, right? Highly sensitive to each other's pricing strategies, because whenever they are having larger populations of consumers, they will create sort of different types of pricing strategies in order to these are not basically the category killers, but when it comes to the pricing, they do have different types of pricing since the sellers are less, right? And also pure monopoly is where a single seller dominates the market, right? Since the people are not having the options, like the consumers don't have any options, they have to go for that particular single seller, right? Okay, so these are the external factors which are affecting on the market. And when it comes to demand curve interpretation, I should say, okay, this is what I've told you, right? Now here you can see this is demand curve and this is supply curve, where in this case you have a surplus, or let's say excess of supply here, right? In that case, I will show you how the market reaches to its market equilibrium point, so to the equilibrium price. Now, even though the seller expects this much of the seller expects a price, right? The consumers are not willing to pay higher, right? Let's suppose like the price here is the price is actually let's say 50, right? From here it starts from 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Here it's 50, right? At the price of 50, the demand is only for let's say here we'll get it as 510. Yeah, so the price is 50, the quantity would be 10, right? But here in the case of this, you can see there's a huge supply, right? There's excess supply. At this point, let's say the supplier is expecting, the supplier supplies the quantity of let's say the quantity is 30, right? 10, 20, 30, right? So the quantity is 30, but still these ones are expecting the quantity of 10, right? Because the demand is less. So because of that, there's a huge supply. But in this case, since the supplier has an excess, right? So he has to come down to reduce his price. The reason is the demand force is not in a position to buy this commodity, as they consider at this price they would buy this. They are not going to buy this much, right? But at the same time, the seller has to decrease their price or to reduce their price in order to make the demand force to buy that particular quantity. Okay. At the same time, let's say when the demand is higher than the supply, right? At this cost, supplier would try to produce only let's say 10, right? The price is low, right? But at the same time, the demand force expects a lot, right? That is excess sort of demand, right? But in this case, the supplier won't provide this much. So because of that, they again push to the level of equilibrium, where here they will experience the seller, the consumer meets the respective demand for the respective price in this curve, right? Hope you would have understood, right? Then there are two effects on the market demand. So as I told you, the market demand is an external factor which is affecting over the pricing. So when it comes to the market demand case, you can see effect of substitution as well as the effect of complementary. Effective substitution means that if you have, let's suppose you are a manufacturer of a particular product, right? If your particular product is having a substitution, or let's say a similar product, when the price of that particular, let's say, now the effect of substitution refers the price rise or income decreases, right? Consumers will replace more expensive item with the less costly alternatives. As an example, if your substitution's price is less than yours, so people will tend to buy that particular substitution because they want to reduce their costs, right? And the other ones is, the condition is when the income rises, right? Let's say conversely, as the wealth of the individual increases, the opposite tends to be the true, right? As lower priced or inferior commodities are skewed for more expensive, higher quality goods and services, known as the income effect. So this is what is happening at the effect of substitution. Now when it comes to the effect of complementary, you can see this is a simple explanation. When the prices of the motor vehicles are high, the consumption of the tire will decline. Why? Because to use the tires, you may need to have the vehicles, right? When the vehicle price is increased, people are tend to reduce their demand for the vehicles, because of that they won't buy vehicles, so they don't have any need of tires, so the tire demand would be decreased, right? So this is what is happening at the effect of complementary, right? Okay, so these are the major pricing strategies where I have included descriptive explanations in my glossary, so you can read and understand. Cost-based pricing strategies, right? I will show you what are these things basically. Cost plus pricing. Now, as you all know, price is determined by the sellers or manufacturers based on the cost that they have incurred on producing that particular product or service even. So in cost plus pricing, what happens is they will add a proportionate margin, or let's say a profit, to the cost, and they do pricing, right? Like as I said, if the cost was like $4, let's suppose the price they expect is $6, so they will add another $2 to the cost and they will make the pricing, so which sells at the cost of 6. Break-even pricing is where the company or the manufacturer will focus on the points that they can cure, or let's say they can equal their total revenue to the total cost that they have incurred, right, without expecting any profits. So they do the break-even pricing there, right? And also by breaking even the cost of the manufacturers, like the production cost, also they try to add a margin to that and price it, right? They will figurely calculate over the amount that they require in order to break even, or let's say to pay over the whatever the cost that they have incurred over the production, and they will add a sum of another excess as their profit. So that is happening at the break-even pricing, or known as the target profit pricing. And value-based pricing is something different than that. When it comes to the competition-based pricing, you have economic value pricing, where you price your product as per the economical value, right? And going rate pricing, where the considering the market demand conditions, whatever the market available price, rather the price that you expect, so that is to move, right, just to penetrate, right? And also sealed bid tenders, right, competition, that is to, when it comes to the institutions, of course, you can see most of the projects are offered based on the bid or tendered prices, right? So that is basically the competition pricing. Based on the competition, you try to get the minimum when it comes to the the institutional case of calling for the bids and calling for the tenders. But when it comes to the vendor's case, or let's say the suppliers or the manufacturer's case, you are expecting the high price, right? High price, right? Performance-based pricing is another strategy, and relationship pricing is another one that we can see, where I have already given in your glossary, right? You can read and understand it. Okay, so then going to the new product pricing, I told you there are some strategies which are maintained by, or which are implemented by the producers, known as market skimming pricing and market penetration pricing. So whenever you try to introduce new product into the market to see whether it is movable or not, right, whether it's moving or not, you will decide on a pricing that is called penetration pricing. Just a small price or low price that is to tend, or that is to encourage the people to buy it at a lower cost and to make a sort of a practice to buy it. It's like the penetration pricing is all about setting a low price for a new product in order to attract the larger number of buyers. So you try to make the profits by adding more and more buyers, right? Not that you are giving a sort of a high stream price. But in some cases, as I said, when it comes to the extreme, luxurious consumption of productions, right? Luxurious consumption, if you give a lower price or a cheaper price to the product, or let's say to the market people, or let's say the consumers won't buy that, feeling that is an inferior, right? That is not actually inferior, but considering the lower, cheaper price of that particular product, they would think that it is very inferior, so that is why they have given a less price, right? But even though the product quality is not so high, some of the products are there with high quality products, right? Let's call them as branded products in the markets, right? Some of the branded products are marked at a skimmed price, which is extra superior price, or known as a very high price, right? So setting up a high price for a new product to skim the maximum revenues layer by layer from segments willing to pay the high price is known as market skimming pricing. You try to attract the premium or high priced people, or let's say the people, those who have high income capacity, affordable capacity, as well as to attract people through high price, is called as skimming pricing. Okay, with 9 types of prices, we can see, with 9 types of quality strategies, right? There are 9 types of pricing strategies, right? So what are these 9 price and 9 quality strategies? When it comes to the when it comes to this depiction, you can see product or the service quality is low, right? But the price is still high. That is where we call as rip-off condition, because the price is high but the product and service quality is very low. When it comes to the product and service quality is medium but the price is high, so that is called overcharging, right? It's not worth to that particular price, right? The quality is medium but the price is high. When the quality is high and the price is high, so we call it as premium, right? Quality is also high, the price is also high. When it comes to the product and service quality, which is low but the price is medium, right? So which is false economy. It's not again worth, right? And also product or service quality is medium and the price is also medium, which is an average, right? People doesn't actually care about it. But when it comes to the product quality is high but the price is low, in the sense price is medium, we call it as high value, right? Which is somewhat valuable. When it comes to the product quality is also low, the price is also low, that is known as economy, right? It's not like that you are giving an unfavorable price over the buyers, but it's fine, right? Economy. When the price is low but the product quality is medium, that is called good value. It's a good deal, right? Good value pricing. And when the price is low but the product quality is high, that gives a superb value to the consumer, so known as superb value pricing. So these are the 9 price and 9 quality strategies, as you can see. Okay, so now when it comes to the product and service mix pricing, you can see there are different types of pricing, because with this product and service mix, product mix is where you can see number of layers available, number of types of goods available from the same manufacturer, right? Product and service line pricing, you can see, right? Optional product and service pricing, right? Captive product and service pricing, by-product pricing, bundled pricing are some of the strategies where the marketers would do to pricing their products available, right? I will give some sort of explanations about these things through the glossary, right? And discounts and allowances, these are some of the pricing strategies that the companies would do, right? Discount is basically reducing some of the amounts, right? That is called adjusting market existing prices downward, right? Especially when the season comes, during out of the season, during the Christmas season, during the winter and all these things, you can see there are so many discounts are given to the goods, right? That is basically, that can either be trade discounts or cash discounts, right? Whenever the discounts that you receive, whenever you pay by cash, or even whenever you buy from one particular product, you will get another free, that is called trade discounts, right? In some cases. Now in some cases you will get the quantity discounts, it can be functional discounts, it can be seasonal discounts, or it can be allowances, right? So these are the ways of giving allowances and discounts by the marketeers, as by reducing their prices, so adjusting their prices downwards. So this is one way of adjusting their pricing, right? Okay, fine. So how the prices will change? Now price changes happens, there are two ways, right? One is initiating the price cuts, the other one is initiating price increase, which means that you will move your price downward or you will make your prices upwards, right? So price changes are happening based on the buyer's reactions as well as the competitors' reactions. Now when the demand is high, you tend to increase your price, we are known as price increases, right? When the demand is less, then you try to cut your prices, which are known as the price cuts or reductions, or it can be the discounts, right? And also one way of selling your non-moving items is by giving the discounts, right? Especially you can see some of outdated products, or it can be some of not updated, right, products available in the market at a lower price. So in some cases they do give trade discounts, right? If you buy 2 or 3, they will give you extra, right? And also if you buy them, you will receive some of the cash discounts, right? That is to move the products which are not moving, right? So these are the ways, right? Because otherwise they will get spoiled with the excess stocks of storages, right? Okay, so coming to the effective pricing strategies, there are basically 4 stages that you should consider, right? Whenever you effectively pricing your product or service, you must identify the best pricing structure, right? To do that, you must first come into the stage called determine the value of the target market. How can you determine the value of your target market? You can see how many numbers are available, how many consumers are available, what is the pattern of consumption, right? What is the price they prefer. Likewise, you can do a sort of a small market survey, right? Determining the value of the target market. You see, if there are more people, like when it comes to the products which are known as general, or let's say we will call them as convenience goods, right? Convenience goods should not contain any sort of premium pricing, because why? There are so many consumers are there to buy, right? So determining in value of the target market, it's like almost all the people are buying it as a convenience good, so you don't want to worry. So you can give just a cheap price. If you are not giving a cheap price, that won't move, right? So determine the value of the target market is that, and assess the difference between the price segments, right? You can even differentiate the price. Now when it comes to liquid soap example, you can see a small type of a soap, right? You can see let's get the shower gels, right? You can say you have the soap, you have shampoo, and you have shower gels, right? There are 3 options. They are posted, or they are placed, or they have positioned in 3 different layers known as inferior, or let's say that is non-premium, right? Economy, non-premium, and premium layers, right? So you can see economy is soap, what do you know as soap, and then it comes to the non-premium layer, that is called shampoo, and when it comes to the premium layer, that is known as the shower gel, right? So you can see 3 stages. So assess the difference between the pricing segments, right? So you can give 3 different types of prices. And also determine on the price sensitivity. How would the consumers will attend to according to the changes in the prices, right? If there are people, those who are expecting economy price, if you would give premium pricing, they won't buy your product, because they don't have that sort of funds, right? They don't have some sort of money to buy them, right? So determine on the price sensitivity, as well as the people, those who have high affordable capacity, they won't buy your inferior products, right? The products which are with the lower costs, right? Because that is the price sensitivity, right? With the income levels, with the different types of economical scenarios, how the price will behave. So you have to determine the price sensitivity, and then identify the best pricing structure. So then you can find out what is the best pricing structure through the nine product and pricing strategies what we have mentioned, or else you can decide on captive pricing, bundle pricing, you can do premium pricing, either skimming or either penetration, whatever it is, right? You can do identify on the best pricing structure, right? So these are the things that I wanted to discuss today. So thank you very much. Make sure that you read the glossaries as well. You can read the additional readings, and after that, if you do have any concerns, let me know so I can help you out. Thank you very much for being online.